Looking to lucid dream and expand your dream time? Today we're going to talk about African dream seed. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name's Fola. Here on Deep Mind Squared, we talk all things magical practices and altered states. And I've been going on a little lucid dream journey, trying different plant medicines and things that are easily available online. Today, I wanted to talk a bit about the African dream seed. So this is going to be a compilation of a bunch of different videos and a little bit of the preparation as I get into diving into this wonderful, and look at this thing. That's pretty cool. Anyways, into this wonderful plant. So I have the dream seed, a couple of them someone sent me, and I was trying to just figure out how the hell do you open this thing? Like, it's pretty hard. So I got my rock here, got this lovely little wooden board, and we're just gonna see what happens. You probably can't really see that, but it's cracking up. Oh, it actually just, it's kind of like a coconut, or like a coconut, but ooh, it's also like a chocolate almond. I don't know if it's supposed to be more white than that, I think, but well, beggars can't be choosers, right? Oh, that just completely slid right off. So that is the inner part. This is the part that apparently you are supposed to ingest, smoke, however way you'd like to partake in it. And I've got the rest of the shell here. So definitely more of the substance, like the weight, is in that center part of the seed. I wonder if I could do anything with this. Very earthy. Reminds me a lot of like kola nut. If you've ever had kola nut, my dad eats that all the time. Gives you a nice boost. Let's see what happens. So I'm just gonna see if I can actually really grind this up in this little motor pistol. My neighbors are gonna hate me. I'm gonna need a lot. This motor and pistol is brought to you by my sister. You know who you are. Thank you. I'm actually worried I'm gonna break the pistol, this whole like bowl. Is this the motor pistol, right? Anyways, you can see inside, still pretty decently sized chunks. I'm gonna have to figure out some other way, I think. I'm just partly worried I'm gonna break something. So we'll just take a little pause here because this is gonna take a little while. I've got I guess maybe half of it in there. Still got this whole other huge chunk that needs to be broken up. And it's honestly, still, there's little pieces at the bottom, but that's not at all the consistency that it needs to get to, I think, in order to make a nice tea. From what I saw in some other material, watching some other videos, because I'm not going to get into all the history of the plant, I don't think, at least at this point, maybe later. It says that for one of the seeds, you want about a tablespoon in your tea, or to brew. So I would say this might be a tablespoon, half a seed. These were pretty big seeds, I think. They were the bigger size of what was sent to me. Probably could have weighed it before I did that. I think it was 26 grams. Is that? Yeah, I think it was 26 grams and 23 grams or something. So not too small, but not on the bigger end. I'm gonna just keep trying this. The options here are to make it into a tea or smoke it. Ideally not with cannabis, because cannabis will impact your dreaming. So smoking it with tobacco was something that was recommended. And good tobacco, ceremonial tobacco ideally. Don't know if I'm gonna smoke this though. I feel like a tea will be the ideal thing. That's usually what I like to start with, especially at nighttime. I mean, who doesn't want a nice cup like lavender tea? Just relax. Ugh. My goodness, when I was in Nigeria many years ago and they make their pounded yam, they have a giant motor and pistol. That's what I need. I just want to like, that would for sure work. So I'm trying a little bit of a different method, the rock and the board. It's kind of making it a bit more ground, but still, I think it might be the seed. I feel like the seed, I don't know if I can say it's old, but usually when you see pictures, it's like not so brown. So I hope that's not gonna like, you know, have some impact. Time will tell. But it's even the consistency when it's breaking down, at least the one piece, it's interesting how it kind of is like, I don't know how to explain. It's almost like cacao, but maybe that's just how it's supposed to be. And this is why you have large hands, so that you can totally grind up African dream seed. Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of soft and malleable, but not. Like it's still, yeah. There's definitely got to be a better way to do this. But honestly, it's looking a little bit better. I can see more powder, like fine powder at the bottom. This just might take me a little bit of time. And whether or not it's going to happen tonight, that's a whole other question. So let's see. You know, like they say, some of the most toughest things we can do in our life tend to be like the most rewarding, right? So let's see it as that, shall we? Let's see it as a reward. And for now, I'm going to pause and come back to you when I'm hopefully finished grinding all this. I'm back, friends, and I'm cheating with the coffee grinder because it's used mostly for everything else besides coffee anyway. And so putting the seeds in, gonna also try this really big piece in a bit, but I think this might actually be the key. So thank you, ancestors. Sorry that we're stepping away from the wonderful motor and pistol, the all-natural way, to see if this is gonna actually work. So let's give it a try. No, we can see we got a bit more powder. Let's see. Oh yeah, totally. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know you're not supposed to put your finger inside. I should probably unplug it before I like completely. That actually worked. I guess I could show you what it looks like. I had actually ground it down pretty well, but that got all those pieces that just didn't want to seem to grind. This is like a very different color than what I'd seen online, so I hope it's going to be okay. And let's try this big piece. Let's just see what it looks like when we just put it in there right off the bat. Ooh. Fucking technology, I tell you. Technology. You all saw how long, I think I have like 18 minutes worth of film like material here. And we just did that in what, like 20 seconds? I almost want to keep them separate and see how they taste any different. They look different. That piece looked way dark. Like the grinds from this one look way darker than the ones before. So, oh well, it's all mixed together now. Ugh. We'll just pretend like we did it. And there we have it, my friends. That lovely, lovely ground African dream seed. Or I guess I could say electronically ground African dream seed. Okay, so let's just see what, oh my God! Just joking, it's empty. I would never be so foolish, but we've got it all here. That's like what, maybe a tablespoon or a tablespoon and a half? Not very much. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's just something about this smell. It's taking me back to Hawaiian baby wood rose, and I'm not liking it, but I'm willing to give it a try at least once. So let's see what happens. Hey everyone. Okay, it is the day after. I forgot to actually film myself creating or making the tea. I ended up being on the phone and doing it. So basically what happened, I took actually it was less than a tablespoon, just because I get pretty sensitive to different plants and medicines. So it's always nice to start small, start low, go slow, whatever that little mantra is. But yeah, it definitely was interesting. Brewing it, just like letting it sit in this tea bag it was actually more than 10 minutes. And it didn't really taste like a whole lot, but mind you, I'm not like feeling 100%, so my taste is kind of off. And definitely an interesting experience. As soon as I was like drinking it and like preparing for bed, I could feel almost as though the room had like these layers and that there were these spaces between the layers, and I felt like I was accessing that sort of space. So very curious, because I mean, this African dream seed is like supposed to enhance dreaming, not so much that it's like a psychoactive for like your awake state, but when you're kind of like, it was late, it's getting into that point where I'm like quite drowsy. Maybe it had something to do with that. But what I understand from these Entata radi seeds, I believe that's what they're called, they're originally from South Africa. And so like they're indigenous to like African spaces, African land. But these like giant seeds would travel through the sea, through water, because they grow on these vines and then they fall in and then they can plant themselves elsewhere. People would use them to connect with ancestors. So that was kind of in the back of my mind. I think I mentioned it in the other part of the video. And that's like a huge part for me, just with the shamanic healing and being able to tap into my ancestry, that I was feeling quite pulled to even experiment or like utilize this plant. So this power to connect through the dream time to ancestors, but also people use these seeds to like enhance any form of lucid dreaming, becoming aware in the dream time. Which is not something that I consciously, like really truly lucid dreaming. I think I've done that like a handful of times, to be honest, where I was like, oh yeah, like that was a full-on lucid dream. What I find happens for myself, I've said in other videos, is I tend to become aware of my intentions in the dream, or it also carries into like the daytime. And last night was interesting with the experience. Like, I can't say I lucid dreamed at all, but I did have like this, dare I say, the dreaming in like the awake time, but it could have just been another dream, like inside a dream. It's not 100% clear to me, because there were aspects in which I like woke up and I felt like as if I was awake, but it didn't seem dreamlike. Like at one point, my eyes were like completely glued shut. Okay, like I remember being like, I got to open my eyes, like open your eyes, Fola, but I couldn't. Like I just remember trying, and it was actually it's kind of eerie, like thinking back to it, just like imagining like these like completely sealed like eyelids. And then at another point, I recall, I'm pretty sure like I was awake and I saw like this child in my room. And I was like, okay, like that's kind of weird. Like I didn't really pay too much attention. I recognized that it was there. I'm not even sure if it was a boy or a girl. It was like mostly androgynous or something. And it wasn't until the morning time when I woke up after having some like pretty vivid, the dreams were vivid, I would say, and very, like the one dream, it seemed very real, but also like the details and the things that really stood out in detail were very odd. that I'm like, why would I even be paying any mind to that? So my attention was being pulled to certain places. But when I woke up in the morning, I found it interesting that here I was just like laying in bed, relaxing, kind of like coming back to myself and my body. But then when I got up, I noticed that all these like things from my the back of my door had fallen onto the floor. And like that's where the kid was standing. So that's kind of got me wondering, like, what the hell is that about? Like, maybe my attention just went there because the items fell at some point. I don't really know how those items would fall off the back of my door because my window wasn't open. I didn't get up at night. Like, surprisingly, actually, I didn't get up to use the washroom or anything, even though I drank like a cup of tea. Yeah, that to me was very odd. So there's a lot of different factors here. Watching some other videos about and like learning a bit about the plant. One particular YouTuber had mentioned the fact that like you shouldn't mix it with other plants. And I didn't like ingest cannabis during the day, but I have been using cannabis quite a bit more than usual actually in the past like week and a bit. Which very interesting and edible form too, which is not usually the way I would take it. So I wonder if like that's kind of put me in this sort of different state. And they say when you use it with the cannabis, obviously cannabis impacts your REM sleep cycle, so you might not dream as much. So I'm wondering like if I continue to take the seed over the next few nights and having had no cannabis then for like a few days, like what will happen with the dream time. Also maybe building up like that seed in my body. But yeah, I think overall today, like it's just been this energy of dreamlike state, but that's been the case like all week, being that I'm getting over COVID, just like spending a lot of time just like being on my own and in my own space and just connecting through like sleeping and resting and sometimes not eating for periods of time. So I'm not 100% sure what it's all about, but there's definitely something very, very powerful about this seed. And I just want to like grab the other one here because it's just like, look at it. Like, how could this not be? Like, there's just something, it's like this, it's huge, but it just feels so light. You know, I don't know, there's something about it, again, like it lightening the body. So yeah, definitely I'm excited to give it some more. I'll probably make another video if there's like any significant changes. And I think too, I might want to be mixing this a bit with some Blue Lotus the next bit, because that would be very interesting. Add a bit of the like psychoactive experience and that like euphoria with then entering into the dream time. But I wanted to add to for myself, it's like I was tired, but when I was trying to go to bed, it's like I couldn't. I remember at one point I was listening to a meditation and then I like woke up again, or like finally was like, okay, I'm going to turn this off. Like it's time for me to sleep. But then I felt like I couldn't sleep. So there's that a bit of that like hyperactivity, which I don't really like when you're like super tired, but you feel like this energy moving through your body and you just can't sleep. It wasn't horrible. Like I eventually did fall asleep, but just, yeah, a little side note there. If you are planning, let us know in the comments if like this is something that you've tried, this lovely plant or the seed, African dream seed. And if it's something that you'd like to share with the rest of the community here, feel free. But yeah, I appreciate you watching. Obviously, remember, hit that like subscribe button, the notification bell. That way you're updated on future video releases. I hope to do more videos like this and to share a bit about, just the fun we can have in some of these altered states with these different magical practices. So I will see you all in another video. Bye.